What is this place?
Keep your eyes peeled.
Super Contra hit the arcades in 1988. Again, like the original, Bill and Lance are out to thwart another alien invasion. Like in the original Contra, the game can be played up to 2 players simultaneously. The game retains the side-scrolling format from the previous game, but replaces the third-person sections with an overhead perspective, in which the player can move in 8 directions. The controls remain mostly the same during the side-scrolling segments, with the only difference being that the player can now control the height of his jump by holding the joystick upwards or downwards while pressing the jump button. Unlike the first game, the European release is identical to the US release, including the name. However, both differ from the Japanese version. The Western version ends the game after the player has cleared the final stage, whereas the Japanese version restarts the game from the first stage after the credits are shown. On the second loop, the player's score, lives and weapons are carried over from the previous playthrough, and the game's difficulty will be set to the highest level. The DOS port of Super Contra was handled by distinctive software and can run in 4 different graphic modes. We're taking a look at the most impressive graphic mode, the Advanced mode, right now. Unfortunately, I'm having to play this DOS version via a keyboard, which for this type of game is not ideal. So please excuse my lousy game playing skills. Personally, I feel that DSi developed games can be hit or miss, most of the time with miss being the order of the day. Super Contra is no exception. In this port, the controls are kinda sluggish, the graphics are kinda ugly for the game of this time, and the enemy projectiles seem to kill you before they even appear. Either that, or you die for no apparent reason. Overall, this isn't a very good port. The ESI were also behind the Amiga version of Super Contra, and while it's looking and sounding much better than the DOS release, it's still not a very good port. The controls are even more sluggish than the DOS version. Collision detection is also pretty poor, resulting in you getting hit by enemies even though you can't hit them. And then there's the very slow pace to the game. Still, at least the jump is pulled off by using the joystick. It's a little tricky to become accustomed to though. Having to stop firing and push up every time you want to jump can get you killed quite easily. Super Contra's port to the Famicom came 2 years after the arcade debut, or 4 in the case of European gamers. It also had its name changed in the US to Super C, and to Probotector 2 Return of the Evil Forces in Europe. This port features 3 unique stages not found in the arcade game. The order of the later stages and bosses are also slightly different, with new bosses featured in this version, including a new final boss. But what you are wondering is, does the Japanese version have any special features over the US version like the original game? Well, the answer is no. Both versions are the same by the title screen and text language. Released in China, this Java mobile phone version came in 2 forms. Both look identical, however one was made to run at a resolution of 320 by 240 and use MIDI for the audio. That's what you're looking at right here. As you may have noticed, this Konami licensed port is based upon the Famicom version, but now features automatic fire and slightly less enemies on screen. And let's take a look at all those versions of Super Contra running side by side. Which version do you think is the best?